Hello, welcome to another episode of the Reach Your Prime podcast. I'm your host, Jared Barnes, and super excited today to have a special guest, Miss Marina Paul. Marina is a California native and moved all the way across the country to go play soccer at Georgetown University, has an incredible story, and now is actually a founder of her own company that works with student athletes across the country. And so I don't want to steal her thunder. Marina, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, Jared, thank you so much for having me. Yes, so grew up in Southern California. I think in California, you either pretty much like stay on the West Coast, stay in the Pac-12, or you jump all the way to the East Coast. And I had family who's from the East Coast, so I decided to make the big jump. I'm very stubborn, so I sort of discovered Georgetown and told my parents I'm like putting every single egg I have into one basket and I'm going after it and getting it. Georgetown was the most incredible place for me. And, you know, a lot of people say, you can't have your perfect college. And I was like, I don't know. I think it was pretty close. And that comes with a lot of learning, a lot of lessons, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. But it really was a place for me to find myself. And I was surrounded by some of the most incredible people I've ever met. So
that's awesome. And it's so encouraging to hear. You know, you hear sometimes about the negatives towards a student athlete experience or a college experience. But, you know, it sounds like Georgetown was just that place for you. And Marina, I had the chance to look you up and read up on you. You were a three-time captain of the women's soccer team. Come on. Yeah, it's an incredible accomplishment. Dive into that for us. What was that like? What did that specifically mean to you to be part of that women's soccer team and not only a three-time captain, but if you want to get into it, just kind of the adversity you faced and to overcome that?
It's a really hard transition. So you come in and your responsibility is to be consistent every single game and try and get that much better, but you really don't have the responsibility of carrying the team. So come junior year, when now you not only have to worry about your performance on the field, you have to worry about your performance off the field and how your attitude is portrayed by other people.
Yeah.
You now have 30 other women who are also, some are older than you, some are your grade, some are younger than you, now looking at you for the answers, and you have to be this figure. You also have to worry about who they are, what they're doing on and off the field. And I was fortunate my junior year to be a co-captain with Daphne Corbose. She's probably the best women's soccer player to ever go through Georgetown. Phenomenal human, phenomenal player. We have very different leadership styles. She's now on the French women's national team, is going to go to the World Cup this year, which is incredible. I think it's not only learning how to reorient yourself, but you have to grow up really fast. And you also, the other really hard part is being the liaison between the coaches and the players. So a lot of the players rely on you to be able to be a voice for the team, for the coaches. But in the same token, the coaches also rely on you to carry out their vision. So I would say the actual hardest thing is that you kind of feel like you have no one to talk to. But when you are the person that people are going to and you have stuff going on, personal issues, you have to go find an outside resource to talk to, because you don't want it to be a conflict of interest within your teammates, but also your coaches.
No doubt. And let's dive into that a little bit more. You mentioned a lot in there, but I want to highlight that fact that leadership can be lonely. You know, when you have to have all the answers or people looking towards you, there's not a whole lot of time for you to look to other people. So you said you find that outlet. What was that outlet for you while you were at Georgetown?
Honestly, I'm thankful enough to have a big brother who also plays sports. So he was oftentimes my outlet, and I have a great support system at home with my parents. But it was also, I tried a lot to talk to other teams. So captains on other teams who I knew would be going through a similar situation. So for example, one of my best friends was on men's baseball team, and he actually gave me a lot of great advice. It was very, very blunt and straightforward, but he's like, stop making it so emotional, you know, just do these little things and you'll be fine. And I think looking at it more so in that perspective was really great, but it's hard. And you kind of I felt like I had to work a lot more on the person I was rather than the soccer player I was.
Wow. Okay. Can you say that one more time? I want to make sure everyone hears that, and then let's dive into that more. Say it one more time.
I had to work a lot more on the person I was and the person I wanted to become rather than the soccer player I was or the soccer player that I wanted to become.
Talent will only take you so far. Your talent will take you places your character won't keep you. And so for that focus on character, wow, that's just to me, it sounds like you really found who you were because you were thrust kind of into this leadership position. But I want to talk about this adversity that you faced. And man, Marina, you went through some pretty rough injuries. Can you explain that to us? Kind of the mindset you had to have. You talked about the character and who you had to become. Who did you become when you faced those serious injuries?
You know, it's funny that didn't, who I became or who I wanted to become didn't happen until probably my sixth game into my fifth year. So junior year, when I first was named a captain, had a phenomenal year at center back, and in the Big East Championships against DePaul, blew out my knee, MCL, ACL, meniscus, 12 minutes in. The night after it happened, I woke up at 3 a.m. just drenched in sweat thinking, oh my gosh, I just had the worst nightmare. That we lost the Big East Championships and that I feel like the bottom of my leg is cut off. And I woke up and it was like, and that was the first time I can ever remember an actual nightmare coming true. That is how that injury affected me. And then I think becoming a captain and being a captain and trying to lead your team from the sidelines, it's not the same. So I wasn't a great captain my senior year. I was injured, tried to come back really fast, ended up tearing my ACL the fourth game into my senior season again in practice. And that was an all-time low for me. I thought that an injury affected my character because sports is who I was. That's how it was an outlet for me to be my best person. I had to learn that you could still lead from, by cheering on your teammates in practice, by setting the goals, by setting the tone still. It takes a lot out of you, and it's really, really hard to empathize with them, even though you've been there and done that before. I honestly didn't think I was going to play anymore. It wasn't until I was on the field right after I got in surgery, senior year, we were playing Virginia Tech. They're a top 10 team. And we were on the field and my coach just walks up to me and I just had like the biggest smile on my face. And I was like, I'm coming back. Like if I tear my ACL a third time, I don't care. I'll figure it out. It's just a leg, it's a knee. But I need to compete again. I just had this burning passion inside me and I wanted to be next to my teammates battling on the field.
I think sometimes we get so deep into all the lessons, like the fact that you overcame that, continued to add value to your team, be part of the team, stayed engaged and led. Just kind of walk us through your process of how you led from the sideline. I know you mentioned a couple examples, but I think I really want to dive into this because I know a lot of our listeners may feel like they're on the sidelines, whether it's in their job or with their family or some other context in their life that they may feel like they're on the sidelines and they want to help, but they're not really sure how to add. So for you, in your context, what did that look like for you to lead from the sideline?
So I didn't know at all how to do it. And I just went back to the way I best learn things, and that's by watching other people do it. Look at those other people on your team who are on the sidelines, who never, ever get to see the field, and see what their responses are, see what their attitudes are like. So I looked at every single player, the person who was cheering the entire game, the person who was half cheering, the person who wasn't cheering. They don't have the opportunity to play, yet they're still finding a way to look at this greater purpose of our team achieving something. And they're able to selflessly cheer on their teammates, even people who are in their roles. And that is the definition to me of an incredible teammate, an incredible human being. So I try to learn from them, but I tried to immerse myself more so in it because I knew that the problem wasn't going to be solved if I took myself out of the equation or out of the situation. I tried to become more involved. I tried to watch more film on my own. My coach doesn't know that. I wish he did. No, but I try to learn what I could do to become a better player when I came back. So I think also having goals like that, it just keeps you in it. The biggest learning point for me was my 5th year when I came back expecting to start. I was in really good, I guess, fitness shape, but not soccer shape. My soccer brain, I was just like a little bit slow on things. I hadn't had that moment where it just like clicked and my body was doing the things that my brain wanted it to do. And I was sitting on the sidelines and a freshman was starting center back. She's an incredible player, but that was the most humiliating thing for me because I was like, I had just come back from 2 knee surgeries, whatever, learn how to replay soccer again twice, learn how to walk again twice. And I'm the fittest one here. Why am I not starting? And I had the worst attitude. Jared, when I say like my all-time low, it was that moment. It wasn't, I was perfectly healthy, but it was like, I have never been such a bad person. Talked to one of my coaches, my assistant coach, Lindsay, and she was like, listen, like, I don't know when your time's going to come, but it's going to come and you better have a better attitude because you don't want to go and live your life having a sore attitude when things aren't going your way. I know they haven't gone your way for a while, but you have a real chance to make an impact on this team and it doesn't have to be about soccer. So that next game, I was like, you know what? I thankfully chose the latter. And I was like, I don't want to be a bad person. I want to be a great person, a great teammate. And it came down to it. We were playing Rutgers, who was a big time rival for us. And we were tied. The center back got hurt. And then I went in and ended up playing the rest of the game. And I never came off the field after that. But my coach was like, physically, like soccer wise, you were ready, you were there. But it was like the character that you brought out in yourself and in your team that like kept you on the field. And from that moment, I never looked on. I was like, I focused on that character piece, focused on getting better at soccer and becoming the best I can be, but really trying to bring out the best in my teammates. The last piece, that I really want to emphasize on that is I had the opportunity to play on the practice squad for the first time. Those are the hardest working people on your team. I guarantee you on any single team, it's those people who are grinding, who are trying to beat the starting team in every single scrimmage, knowing that they're not going to get the chance to ever play on the field or that they have like the slightest chance. So I encourage everyone, whether it's in your sport, whether it's in a corporate office, whether it's in your startup, find those people who are grinding, who don't get any of the glory, but who make everyone else on the team better, and love them, show them appreciation, understand who your loud people are on the team, who are the people that need all the glory, but then harness that and be able to manage everyone on their team regardless of their actual role when it comes to game day.
Marina, that was absolutely incredible. I'm literally sitting over here. And so those of you listening, understanding the power of sport, and I think why both Marina and I are so passionate about connecting with current athletes, former athletes, is because these are things we go through. But if we don't necessarily take the time to pause, reflect, and actually think about what we're thinking about, think about things that have happened to us, how we've responded to them, we miss that. I think everyone wants to play, but not everyone takes that time to pause and reflect about their journey. And I think a couple of themes that I heard as I was listening to you is, number one, you made a big shift of focusing on yourself to focusing on your teammates. And I think that was huge because it allowed you to slow down, not slow down to where you're stopped or stagnant, but slow down enough where you can see people, you can be present. And it allows you to connect with people and learn from people. Like you said, you asked questions of, hey, tell me about this. I've never been on the sideline before. I've never been on the practice squad before. If there's one lesson we can take from that, it's whatever position, whatever title you have, if you're not slowing down enough to know your people, to know who you're around as best you can, you're going to miss those opportunities for impact. You're going to miss those opportunities to develop, like you said, your own character. I think when you focus on those small wins, that allows you to value what you have. Why I'm so excited is because that wasn't the end for you. That wasn't the end. That wasn't the greatest thing you'll go on and achieve. You graduated, and now you're running a company. You have, in a sense, a whole nother brand that came from Georgetown. It stemmed from Georgetown, but it's not Georgetown soccer. And that's what I'm really excited about. So if you just wanted to explain the work you're doing now through Jocks, how that started and where you're at.
Right. Well, I'm so glad you said it's not the end, because that last year we'd won the Big East championship, and then we just didn't stop winning. It was just like, we had so much fun. And then we got to the College Cup Final Four. We lost to University of Southern California. We were standing on the field, and we're knowing our soccer careers were over forever. We were like, this is the best and worst moment of our lives. The best because we got to the furthest place we could. We played with all of our hearts. We're on the field with the best people ever. The worst moment because how could it get better than that? So in that moment, and then it just all went downhill from there. I joined a really great new team after in the last industry I was in. It was full of college athletes, but for me, I just couldn't find my sense of fulfillment. And I started asking all of my friends who work in investment banking, who are CPAs, who, are in law school, all these things. And I'm like, guys, what is going on with me? I can't shake this feeling of not being an athlete, not playing a sport anymore, not playing UVA, like not getting hyped up for all of these games. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they're like, we feel exactly the same. They're like, I was like, wow, all of these people have such fascinating stories. And what's crazy about all athletes, and Jared, you see this in your work all the time, is that we all undergo such gnarly stuff individually that most of our teammates don't even know we went through, or they only know sort of like the high level stuff, because athletes were so closed off. But I was like, you know what? Athletes have to start telling their stories after sports, because it's the only way for us to sort of cope with this new transition. So I started this thing called Jocks, where it's basically a podcast. We are Jocks. I interview athletes from all over, whether, whatever college you played at, maybe you're a high school star and it didn't work out, but it's this common mindset that athletes have that no matter what happens, I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to push and push and push until I find my best self. And it's no longer my best talent, but it's that piece we were talking about before. It's like my best character. And my whole like vision, what I always would try to work towards is creating that team for after sports for the rest of life.
Mm-hmm. I think the longer I've done this in the entrepreneurial space, in doing these type of pursuits, the joy is in the journey. The joy is in the exploration, in the building, in the process, to where I'm a firm believer. If you don't love exploring, if you don't love failing, if you don't love trying and testing and trying again and testing and trying again, then you're not necessarily, this isn't going to be a good fit for you. Mm-hmm. A couple of things I heard is you saying that sport, literally, it's a universal language. I think it transcends all boundaries or barriers. Competition is something that we rally around, as fans, but it's finding that joy in things that the context may be different. Mm-hmm. But the game is the same. The energy is the same. Finding that same energy in creating a podcast. I know, I'm sure you found joy in that, in the work you've done with Jocks, and just allowing that creativity to flourish that you may not have explored before. To me, that's been what drives me. But for me, it's how can I continue to grow? How can I continue to push myself? So I get fired up. Just listening to you, I was fired up for you.
It's like, it's your new sport, right? You're just like learning, like right now we're just learning the fundamentals of our sport. If that same person can go to the Final Four with her team, then that same person can take this little burning passion inside of her and make something out of it. And I don't mean that to talk about myself, but that's like for anyone, for you, for anyone who has that burning passion inside of them, just take that, learn the fundamentals, and just keep rising and keep talking to people who are smarter than you and keep learning as much as you can. And it'll turn into something.
That's it. Keep exploring, keep finding the medium. Mm-hmm. I want our audience to get to know you. If you You knew you were going out tomorrow, and you had one last opportunity to say a message to the world.
Yeah.
And it had to be in the form of a tweet. So it had to be concise, had to be brief, but something that really reflected you and who you are. What would that last tweet to humanity be?
I would say leave everyone better than you found them and live every day with passion. And I think that those two things are very closely tied, because we have a choice in life how we respond to things. We don't always have a choice in what happens to us. We don't choose death. We don't choose adversity. We don't choose injury. We don't choose any of that. A lot of times we don't choose a certain path to success, but you have a choice in how you treat people, and you have to be a good person to people, whether they're good to you or not. And then I think the second thing that falls underneath that is you have a choice to be passionate. And I think a day lived without passion is a day wasted. And I struggle with that because I try to find passion in every single day. But when you are truly passionate, I think that correlates so much to what you bring to the world, what you bring to yourself, and and how you continue to live. Just live a fulfilled life.
I love it. I want to make sure I get it right. Leave everyone better than you found them, and live every day with passion. That's great. Well, Marina, thank you so much. But where can we find you? If we want to follow up with you, we want to reach out to you, where can we find you on social media?
Yes. So my handle is at Marina Paul, Marina. If you want to follow Jocks, it's at We Are Jocks. And then our podcast is on iTunes, We Are Jocks.
I love it. Well, Marina, thank you so much. A wealth of knowledge. Guys, if you don't recognize just how important, but how beneficial the student athlete experience can be, I think Marina is a true testament to that in the work that she is doing through Jocks. And guys, please be sure to check out the We Are Jocks podcast. Phenomenal stuff. Highly recommend it. This has been outstanding.